Welcome back to the One Step Journey podcast, episode 7. I'm Colton. This is Jeffrey. And right beside me is the one and only DJ Reims. Welcome back.
DJ Reims.
Thank you very much for having me back,
guest.
guys. Yes, and I'm glad to be back on the rebrand of One Step Journey.
Yeah.
One Step Journey.
So I love the direction things are going, so I'm excited for this episode.
Thank you, brother.
Love that,
Thank
brother.
you, man. And we're here. We're in a very different scene today.
Yes,
For
we
the
are.
first time ever.
First time doing this.
First time doing this, but before the first time ever, we went to the library
Oh, yeah.
and someone was in there.
Somebody was in there.
First time in a year.
That's crazy.
Respect to that individual.
Respect to that person.
They're crushing
It was,
it.
around 11 o'clock on a Sunday, and they're
On
in there
a
just
Sunday.
hustling and just expanding
Love it.
knowledge. Reading.
Love it.
Growing the brain.
Right.
Mental exercise.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
You can't knock somebody for doing that.
Yeah, you can't. And
So, what did we have to do? We had to repivot. Didn't want to just go upstairs and sit in the living room. Let's do a little something different. We're outside in the courtyard right now, soaking up some sun rays and getting that vitamin D.
Oh.
Big D.
beautiful.
Yes.
I love it, man. This is great, man. But awesome day. Thank you for joining us, Sean, bro. And
thank you for
I know
having me.
it's
Thank you for coming back.
yeah, thank you, man.
This
It's
is awesome.
been a little bit. So we'd love to hear just kind of a little bit about what's going on in your world right now. What's new, bro?
Talk to us.
So the new stuff is, as you hear with the world, with the push of AI, I am in IT.
Mhm.
And
Let's
so
go.
in 2024, there have been many tech companies doing major layoffs because of the push of AI. So that's been a very big change in my life. But outside of that, staying in shape, keeping up with exercising more.
I've been seeing you at Vasa.
Yeah.
I've been seeing you at
Jeff
Vasa.
and I have ran into Vasa
Oh,
a
let's
couple
go.
times. I've
Heck
seen
yeah.
Jeff's stories and posts, lifting,
love
doing those
Vasa.
shoulder press and everything. So that's motivation for me too,
Love it.
because it's like being the skinnier guy always growing up, but just staying in shape, being almost 30.
Yeah.
Colt and I
Mhm.
we're just around the corner of 30.
I'm at
Approaching the
30,
big
my boy.
three.
It's great. So taking it a little bit step back with the cardio and basketball just
Mhm.
to balance out life more, but the push of AI, exercising, keeping up with personal life. Got a recently new girlfriend, and that's going well.
Love it.
So
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love
Working on
for you,
that.
brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's same old since we've last
Yeah.
spoken.
Mhm.
But AI is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
AI is a big thing. So
Yeah.
basically, whenever quantum computing happens and AIs and computers and robots take over the world, are you to blame? Is that what you're saying? Or
DJ
you're,
Reims
you're,
is the
you're
one
one
to
of the
blame.
pieces of that puzzle that's coming together, or what?
I could be a part of it. No, this is the funny thing I would like to tell people is even with AI, you need a human to create it and develop that
Yeah.
software push. So even with AI, you still need humans to run certain jobs in this
100%.
world. So they will replace some. I have to bring that reality to folks,
Mhm.
but we will still be relevant in some ways.
Hopefully.
But you can blame me if
Hopefully,
you want.
right?
Yeah.
until that microwave comes alive
Oh,
on some
man.
iRobot stuff and holds us hostage. But
Until
listen,
they take control of us.
that's amazing. I feel there definitely is a big push in
Mhm.
2024. People want to get healthy. They want
Yes.
to be active.
Yeah.
They want to get healthy.
Yes.
We've talked about this on the show before.
Yep.
The hybrid athlete is really the new thing. The running, the rock climbing, the weightlifting, the swimming, the
I
biking.
could see that. Yeah.
Just encompassing everything, not necessarily just being big, beefy Chris Bumstead, who is the GOAT,
He is.
but just, being able to kind of diversify the training regimen, which is amazing. And it's,
Yes.
with the basketball and
Yep.
with the soccer and the
Mhm.
baseball, softball, a little bit of everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Vasa.
yeah.
We've really
It's
been
a
able
really
to
nice gym.
cultivate, not only an amazing gym when it comes to the equipment and stuff, but just being able to cultivate, a nice community over there and meeting some good people.
Yeah.
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 I'm with you there. I'm
Absolutely.
with you there.
Vasa, if you're listening to this, shout out Vasa.
Sponsor me.
Sponsor
Sponsor us.
No.
Jeff is your guy to sponsor.
Run it up.
Yeah.
Run it up.
But no, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. I know before we get into, the topic of the day, and we have a lot to talk about, and I think a really exciting topic here, man.
Really,
You
really good topic today.
So I'm curious, and I know Jeffrey's curious too, and shout out Tina. Tina's curious behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the Boyz4Life podcast.
Yes, sir.
And you're also on the One Step Journey podcast. And you've been an avid listener, which we
Yes.
appreciate.
Since week one.
We have
Yes.
been. No, honestly.
week
and
one.
shout out DJ Reims, man. He's been there supporting us. We appreciate you.
46
Much love.
episodes in, man.
And I'm still here.
And he's still
It's
here.
been great. I'm curious to know what's been a couple takeaways from the Boyz4Life to the One Step Journey podcast.
And I love this question because I always wanted to say my 2 cents on this. Is
Amazing.
with
Love
the
it.
Boyz4Life podcast, I really like that it was like, let's build a community.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the One Step Journey is now we have a foundation. Now we can
Mhm.
guide people to what we know. And I've learned a lot from your podcast alone. So the fact that I can even contribute with this episode and us three, including Tina,
Yeah.
behind the scenes doing all the camera work and stuff, if we can motivate and inspire people's lives even more with the knowledge that we're learning on a weekly basis, such as your episodes, I think that's key.
Yeah.
And so I really like how it was like, what do we want to figure out with all three of our lives? And now that we've been talking about our lives weekly and I've been listening to your lives weekly, I really like the direction that things are going in. It's a very positive direction that you guys have been going towards. I could see it's impacting many people's lives, not just mine. And so I just wish, as you guys continue this podcast, as you gather more followers and listeners, that will just reach out more. Because there's multiple podcasts doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
But ironically, the movie, what was it called? What was that Facebook movie?
Social
that was
Network.
made? Social Network?
Great movie.
They said the difference with dating back then is when you know someone personally on Facebook,
It's different.
it's totally different. And that's how I feel with this podcast, because I know you guys personally.
Yeah.
It hits me a lot more home.
Thank you.
And so I just hope others can also be touched as I
Feel
am.
the same way.
And well, I've been growing with you guys. Like when you guys talk, I'm like, now I understand what they're saying. And so that's what I mean by now that you have your foundation and your understanding and your image, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you, bro.
that. Those
No,
are
and
amazing.
thank you.
Those are
It's-
amazing 2 good cents, and
It's a circle.
It's really been a process and it's been a journey, brother. Thank you so
It has.
much for that. And
It has.
we're so proud of everything that we did for the first 40 episodes with the Boyz4Life, but a lot of what was happening in those first 40 episodes, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is we were trying to find our footing.
Exactly.
We were trying to get a little bit
That
more comfortable
foundation.
behind the foundation and trying to figure out where exactly do we want to go with this thing. And, we did it for 40 weeks, and we said, you know what, we're ready to take the next step
Yes.
on the one-step
Yeah.
journey. And
Yep.
we're ready to take a huge leap, rebrand, repivot, restructure, refocus, just sink our teeth in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Take it a little bit more serious. Not that
Yeah.
we weren't for the first 40,
Yeah.
but let's take it a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What do you think, brother?
No, 100%, man. I think it's boys turning into men.
Yep,
in some
that's
capacity.
exactly what it is.
I think
We're
that's
growing
what,
up.
To keep it simple.
That's
Maturing.
what it is. I think that we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I mean, the first
Even
episode,
just a year ago,
right
from the start of it.
we
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, it took us 3 tries to record our first episode.
Yeah.
It took us about 3 hours to get that one episode in, for real. But like, you learn through that process and that journey, and it was fun. I mean, there's a lot to reminisce on the Boyz4Life podcast. There's a lot of great.
Yes.
I do think that we're all growing and trying to evolve in some capacity. That's just who we are as humans.
Yeah.
And now we're at that point where, hey, you know what? This is something we had to talk about, us 3 behind the scenes, and say, hey, it's time to rebrand and repivot. And we're at the one-step journey. We're here, and I couldn't be more happy with
To have you on.
literally.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super blessed, man. It's just cool to see things come full circle, and
Yeah.
I mean,
agree.
I'm just really excited, and I'm more excited for today's topic, man. We
Yes.
got
I
a good topic
appreciate it.
today. Topic
We have
of
a
the day.
very,
Mm.
very,
Thank you.
very
I
good
appreciate
topic.
kind words.
And one of the recurring themes on this show from day one has always been to be extremely selective with who you surround yourself with and build that sense of community,
Yes.
right? Community, positivity, love, encouragement, motivation, all of that stuff all in one is so eclectic. But this is going to be an amazing topic to talk about with us 3, right? The topic of the day is
Ooh.
tightening your circle. And what's amazing about this, too, that I'm really excited to dive into is we all grew up in Wheaton. We all went to the same high school. We've all navigated this roller coaster called life in different ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we're all going to have different input on this one. Tightening your circle, especially over the years, especially as we start to go into and step into new journeys in life, right? Engagement, marriage, kids, just maturing in life, hitting 30, et cetera, et cetera. How important it is to really tighten that circle. You go from going to high school, and then you go to college and you get some new friends, and then you start getting into the business world and the careers and all that stuff, and things start changing, people start changing, and you're navigating all of these different social circles and just growing up. How important to you guys is it to tighten that circle?
Yeah. Sean, you want to start us off here?
This is a really good question because I'm currently learning in life right now how to tighten that circle, and I'm applying it to family, friends, of course, because that's everyone's circle right now. But
Yeah.
some people do not have family, and some do. In my case, as you guys remember from the last episode, I have a very big family, and one thing I have learned from experience, because like Jeffrey said, we're all gonna have a different input in this one, is being cautious and careful of what you share with each particular family member.
Yep.
It could be cousins, relatives, uncles, aunts, and in my case, it's immediate family. We don't have much extended family.
Yeah.
But I have certain siblings I can share some things with that I can't with others. And honestly, to tighten that circle, I've learned that sometimes if you over speak on some things or if you over explain some things, it opens up more doors and more questions. And then people feel the need to pry into your life because I know many people these days, they want to help. But sometimes what I'm learning about myself is if I over-inform folks or if I let them in the door too much, then I get confused with what I'm trying to achieve out of life.
That's a great
100%.
So that's what I've learned to tie my circle, at least with family, for a start.
100%. And I would say, you know, in regards to that topic, it can be hard to really tighten that circle, especially when you have to limit your energy towards someone in the family.
Yes.
Whether it be siblings,
yes.
cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever. As you start really honing in and focusing on your path, I feel one of the toughest things to do when tightening that circle is realizing sometimes the people that are closest to you aren't necessarily on your path with you.
Yes.
And they're not they don't necessarily, for some right or wrong reason, whatever it may be, you know, they want to try to take you off that path.
Yes.
And it can be tough.
And that's what I mean by like they want to help you, but sometimes it's not help. It's over helping and just like over informing them. So I'm in my current life and situation, like with work and friends, girlfriend, etc. Knowing what to share with them and how much to share really makes a difference, because there's some nights where I go home sleeping peacefully, knowing there's no drama. I didn't overstep any boundaries. They didn't overstep my boundaries, but I didn't let them overstep those boundaries. So that's definitely helped me in life. And for someone who has ADHD or like the people pleasing, I'm going to therapy now. Finally, I've been going.
Proud of you, bro.
It's huge, brother.
Proud of you, bro.
I appreciate it.
That is huge.
Thank you. And so the therapist and I have discovered I have a serious people pleasing personality growing up with such a big family, and so knowing to set boundaries and applying it to everything in life, not just work and family, has really helped me achieve to tighten that circle.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to say no?
Very. Very, very hard. Still to this day, very hard.
That's tough for me. I'm working on that too. It's always it is tricky because you do want to please people and you don't want to let people down. And I think to answer the question for the topic of the day with what we're discussing here, I think there's I'm getting older, right? You realize you're on this path and there's people that you've been close with for, let's say, since elementary school, middle school, whatever
elementary
it is.
school, middle school, whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
But like
decade plus.
But what you had said, Jeffrey, is that we all have different paths that we go on. And some people maybe are trying to pull you back or pull you down, or they're questioning why are you going down this path? When in reality, you're the only one that knows why you're on that path.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then you come across other people within, whatever field of work you're in, whatever line, people within that workspace or business or whatever, that understand, and you feel like you're more connected with them than you are with people you've known for 2 decades plus.
Yeah.
Right. So it is important to really understand that. And it's that perspective and that awareness piece and understanding that, hey, it's okay if people are going down that path. We have a life. We all have shit that goes on behind closed doors, whether it's personally, whatever the case may be. And just really understanding who do you want to go to battle with, essentially. That's what I always ask myself. Who do I want to go to battle with? Who is going to be there when I need them?
Yes.
Because I'm like you, where I want to please everyone.
Exactly.
And I'm learning, it's like, hey, I could still do that, but I also have to be careful and conscientious of who do I give my time to.
And still take care of ourselves.
100%.
1,000%, dude.
I think it's something we all struggle with because we all have such big hearts. We want to
Yes.
just be able to help everybody
1,000%, bro.
and make sure that everybody's happy.
Yes.
But I think the key question we need to ask ourselves in those situations is at what cost? Because I've noticed and I've caught myself so much pouring into all these other people, and then I come home and my battery's drained.
And you don't have anything left for yourself.
And you got nothing left for yourself. No joy, no love, no happiness for yourself at the end of the day.
Right.
But you've done all this for everybody else. And then again, I ask that question, at what cost?
Yeah.
Right. And something that's really tough to realize too, especially as we start getting older, circles start getting a little smaller. And this is not necessarily the case for everybody, but something that I've heard that really resonated with me, even like over a decade ago, is people want to see you succeed. People want to see you do well, just not better than them.
Yeah,
Yes.
man, bro.
And
Yes.
that is a tough pill to swallow, especially when it's somebody in your family or somebody that you've been extremely close to since middle school, high school, elementary school, or whatever. And you just have to really focus on reading people's energy.
Yes.
And knowing, look around, look who's clapping when you call them and you give them good news. Look who's celebrating your victories. You'll be able to tell based off of people's reactions and the things that they say and their energy if they truly are happy for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, I completely agree, man. And it's
tough.
The older you get, that's really tough. But the moment you can recognize that, the more at peace you can be with your life. Because that's just the reality. And there's different chapters. And that's why I love picking the brains of, people who are older than me, more experienced, like Chris, for example. I mean, he's got a lot more experience in life than us. He's able to share some wisdom. Mm-hmm. But then again, on the flip side, too, we have to go through those experiences on our own. Mm-hmm. But now we're more prepared for those experiences. So we know how to navigate, and we know how to, more aware how much to be pouring to people, right? And lately, too, I've shared this with Christina. I mean, there's a couple people that I've been reflecting on that I've been close with in college, and, I definitely miss those connections with them. And I've some of them I've reached out to just to share a quick note and maybe haven't heard back. And then some of them I haven't reached out. And it's like, you just said, at what cost am I giving that? So I think that's just another perspective and answers things that I've been going through internally the last couple weeks. Yeah. It's been tough, bro. There's a lot of changes going on in life. It's hard.
Yes.
It is hard.
And I feel like things, ironically, I know we talked about AI at the beginning, but with technology surrounding us and how absorbed us as the human race that's taken into technology, things are coming more and more rapid. So it's like, what I'm learning is how do you slow down that time or make your time more valuable where you can still absorb it, but at your pace? Like you said, we're starting to pour more into ourselves instead of others. And then that way we can really determine who we want in that circle.
Yeah.
With everything else moving so fast around us.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's always tough, man. I mean, I think too, when you just think of life, I always just think about envisioning the person you want to become. Right? No, honestly, think about who do you want to, what do you have to, what traits, what characteristics you have to carry yourself.
Right.
And then you can start to kind of, sift out some weeds within your life and kind of get those people maybe out of your life. That's another perspective too that I think is helpful. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I'm not saying you can't be friends with them, but what do you share with them? Right? Because I'll be honest, there's certain people, and I'll say there's certain people in my life who I love and I would go into business with, and then there's certain people who I wouldn't go into business with, just based off who they are and our morals and values, right? Kepi and I talk about this all the time. Yeah. So I think that's important too. So again, it goes back to that perspective and just being aware of people. Because in reality, people's true colors will show at some point. You just have to
People's true colors
understand.
show, and you here's the thing, and I literally sent you a video, I think it was last night or the night before on Instagram. People will show you their true colors. You just have to pay attention.
And the self-awareness.
In due time, and the self-awareness. And it's tough, but at the end of the day, we have to realize too, people are going to do what they have to do, and I can't control what another person does. I just have to observe and just be able to watch that. And, it's something that's tough, right? As we've grown up, tons of friends from high school, middle school, things of that nature. But, just like I said earlier, everybody's on a different path.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have to realize, too, that, we're all kind of going maybe in the same direction, but at different speeds. And maybe it's going to be a different path for A, B, and C. And you have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's tough. But I would rather, especially at this age, 28, we're all approaching 30, if not already. Mm-hmm. And I would rather have 5 friends that I know will go to war with me.
1,000%.
Versus having 50 friends who are
on the fence.
Well, you
just kind of on the
don't
fence.
even know who you can even reach out to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. And I would rather have that. And I know that I found that.
Yeah.
In you guys, and just
Amen.
being able to have amazing conversations and have friends who are going to support me, cheer for my victories. I'm going to cheer for theirs. We're going to push each other to strive to be better. Mm-hmm. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Yes. And to add to that, ironically, on top of listening to your guys' podcast, I've been listening to a few others.
You're cheating on us?
Whoa, do we get them off real quick?
Actually,
I
actually got to, The funny thing is, one thing I think a lot of people struggle with, including myself, because I'm going through it right now, is you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, how do I want to tighten my circle? What do I want to do and achieve out of my life? And so what I'm learning, and I'm exposing myself here, but it's like when you can be honest and be like, this is what you truly want, whether you think society wants it or whether you think your friends will like it. If this is what you want, start being more honest, get more on path with that guidance. And my stress and my ease just with what I feel like I have to do on a daily basis has just gone down tremendously. Because it's like I'm not worried about what my family thinks or what my friends think. Of course, you want to be considerate.
Of course.
Don't be a complete...
Don't be disrespectful or anything
Absolutely.
like that. Yeah.
But there are times where, again, it's like, hey, can you help us all weekend and then next weekend? And I'm like, no, because then I'm on call the next weekend, so I got no time for myself. So if you could just find that balance, honestly, as there's a balance to anything in life, that's what's helping me get through this. Because I've learned over the last year and a half, ironically, prior to your guys' podcast beginning, the mental health started really showing. A lot of childhood things started surfacing, and I'm like, wow, I can't ignore this anymore.
Yeah.
So
You got to deal with it.
Everything that we've been working up to this point, and like you said, finding a direction, the path in our lives. Many of my team members at work, we're all in the same role, but we all have our own specialty on that path.
Yeah.
So I like to see it. Ironically, it's like a basketball analogy. You know your role.
Yeah.
If you're the star player, you're the star player. But if you know your supporting cast, like you said, your 5 men that you could take to war with you, then no one can take that away from you.
Yeah.
That's helping me push through every day, even though you have those struggling mental days and emotional days.
Well, and I think it gives you a lot more. Clarity and like more maturity too when you can actually recognize that.
Clarity for sure.
You know what I mean?
Clarity
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Because you're not confused anymore.
Exactly. You're not sweating making those decisions, right? Like the moment you sweat, the moment you're like I guess considering or contemplating or thinking about the decision you make, maybe
overthinking and overworrying.
Is that the right decision? You kind of have your answer that maybe you shouldn't have done that, I guess, per se, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But I think just knowing that. What we've talked about, Jeffrey, is just like slowing down and just seeing things from all different perspectives and vantage points. It really allows you to have control of your life and where you want to go. And then that allows you to really figure out who do you want to go to war with? Who's going to be there who's going to be there when you need them? Who are you going to call to say, hey, I need you on this date to move, or hey, I need you here to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real though. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? So
it's just like the lake house. Hey, can you help us do all this work over the weekend? It's like, yeah, you can depend on me.
Of course.
Absolutely. But it's a never-ending circle, and you're gonna in 10 years from now when we're all 40 or pushing 40, we're gonna be in the same boat. Just to be a different chapter. It's gonna be the same exact thing.
Chapter. And you have to start paying attention, like I said, to people's actions and observing things of that. Something that's huge for me that I look for just in anybody, especially at this age, is accountability.
Yes.
Being a man or a woman of your word, if somebody tells me that they're going to do something, like, I expect you to do it. Don't say it if you're not going to do it. And that's something that's really big for me because it's something I pride myself in, is when I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. And it's not that when I tighten my circle, there's bad blood on anybody that maybe didn't make the cut. I will always show love to people. I will always be positive. But I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to limit my energy and my time around you.
Have to.
Right. There's nothing personal. But it's just, if I'm not, and listen, I want to go out, I want to have friends.
Yeah,
we can go out and have a good time and have fun and do all that. It doesn't always have to be serious.
Right.
But at the end of the day, right, what are we really doing here if we're not trying to get better?
Right. Or if we're not creating memories here.
Because
time is invaluable.
Time is invaluable.
I'm learning too, even at work, like we have like 7 back-to-back meetings. I'm like, it's already 5 p.m. I haven't even worked out.
We haven't even done anything, right?
For ourselves. I get that you got to have a job and you got to pay the bills, but it's like if you're not even taking care of yourself at the end of the day, like you said, what are we even doing here?
What are we doing here?
Yeah. Right. No, I agree. And I do think, and I know you're big on this, and I'm really trying to get more intentional with this, is just the memories.
The memories,
right?
dude.
We're just within life and whatever we do. And I think a lot of moving my sorry, we have a little technical difficulties behind the scenes. Remember, we're outside in nature
the
today.
Lord wants to cool us off.
The Lord
right now.
wants to cool us off right now, and that's okay. But I think just life is just all about creating memories. Because when you think about it, is this even going to matter in 50, 60? It doesn't mean shit. It's never going to mean anything.
It doesn't.
Right.
And I watched a video on Instagram yesterday that was talking about in 200 years, dude, somebody else is going to own your house.
Yeah, I saw that same video.
In 200 years, somebody else is going to be driving the car you had.
Everything you built up.
Everything that you built up is going to be gone. So what are we really focusing our time, which is so valuable? The most valuable 2 things that we have is our health and time.
Yeah.
Because time can be taken from us now.
Yes.
Right? Knock on wood, God forbid. I don't want to get, morbid here, but I could be driving to my game later and the Lord could take me.
It could.
Right? What could happen, right? And so we really have to focus and be extremely specific who and where we spend our time and we give our time.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of the biggest pools of people that have been getting my time lately is family, because family is so important. Family and friends, that's it. Because outside of the work, that at the end of the day doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The cars and all that stuff does not matter.
No.
It's the memories. And how are people going to talk about you when your time comes?
Yeah.
They're going to remember how you treated them. They're going to remember the small memories that you made. That's what they're going to remember.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to focus our energy on.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, when when you're calling someone, who's the one that's going to naturally react and clap for you?
Yep.
Those
Yeah.
are the people you want to look for.
100%. Liquid Axe, baby. Liquid Axe. No, so I got a question for all of us here, all of us, and I think this is it's a great topic.
It's a really tough conversation
It is
for
tough.
people to listen to, and it's a tough conversation to have because we talk about this all the time on the show. Just like you were saying, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
There's two
No.
people that you cannot lie to. It's the Lord, because He knows all, and the person in the mirror. At the end of the day, you know.
Amen.
Mhm.
Right? Whether who you're surrounding yourself with is deserving of your time. If you're doing everything to get you to where you want to be, or if you're not, right? Because only you know, right? If you're snoozing that alarm in the morning, you're not waking up and you told yourself you were going to go for the run.
Yeah.
Or only you know if you skipped the gym because it's been a long day at work and you're a little too tired.
Yeah.
Right.
Only you know that.
No one else knows.
Right? Nobody else gets that. And so you have to be more aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got a question for the group here, man, because I think we talk about accountability, right?
Accountability is huge.
And I'm curious, what are like 1 to 2 steps that all of us can take to really be more intentional and to really be more aware of who we give our time to? Like, what's something that we're going to work on going into this next week that's going to allow you to maybe sift some things out or sift some people out so that you can stay at focus in tune with your goals? You want to
I got a big thing here.
talk to us?
We always like to keep things simple. Listen.
Mm.
Listen to the people that you're
Yes.
interacting with on a daily basis.
Yes.
Listen in your head to the conversations you're having. Listen to how people talk to you and how people treat you.
I love that.
That's a huge thing.
That is huge.
I'm telling you, listen.
Yeah.
You can feel people's energy and you
Yeah.
can read that.
Yeah.
Whether it be coworkers, family members, significant others, whatever, just listen.
100%.
I like that a lot.
Sean, what about you?
For me, just like when I'm learning, being honest.
I like that.
Even if it's something that I mean, there's a lot of things I self-reflect on where I'm like, would I do that again? No. So that tells me right there, like you're saying, if you know the answer, you just got to admit that, okay, this was my fault. This was my doing. I'll be honest. This is the answer I need. Don't do it going forward. Now, of course, like they say, it's easier said than done.
For sure.
100%.
We get that.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's holding more accountability, thinking with a clearer mind. And what I mean by that is if people don't have a sober mind, if they're too overstimulated by work or personal things surrounding their life, what I've been doing a lot, and this is why I'm saying this podcast is so helpful, a lot more mornings I drive to work not listening to anything.
My man.
So I do
love
that.
it.
Walks now, I stop listening with headphones, just listen to the birds.
It's beautiful.
And
I'm proud of you, bro. That's hard to do, man. That's
That
so
is
hard
tough.
to do. That's
That is
tough,
tough.
man.
Because at work, though, it's when you're in 6-7 meetings, though, and I'm an introvert, I'm ready to shut the battery off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for me, I'm finding a good balance of when I need to know, like you said, reserve that energy for myself, go for a walk, come back, I regenerate for an hour, then I can discuss further with folks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that.
the accountability for sure, and then just being honest, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's why we're doing these episodes and you guys are doing this podcast, is it's helping folks such as myself get on the more clearer path and the simpler path.
Yeah.
I would say simpler, like you said, listen. It's hard to do, but
Yeah.
just listen. It will really help.
100%, man.
So
Yeah.
that's what I do, accountability and honesty.
I love that. I think for me, going into this week is telling people no. I mean,
Ooh,
I'll give you a prime
that's a good
example. It
one.
happened today already.
Respectfully, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
respectfully no.
Respectfully, though.
Me and a couple of my buddies, they asked me to go golfing tomorrow, and I'm like, yeah, I really want to go. But then I'm like, okay, let's think about the rest of this week. I'm gonna spoil it. We have closing date this week. We're closing the house
Congrats.
this
Congrats
week.
on that.
Thank you. And then we have our engagement photos on Friday as well. So
Oh, boy.
there's other
It's a
priorities.
busy
that we
week.
ha-
It's a golf yesterday, 85.
A good
you know
busy
what I mean?
week. A good busy week.
A good busy.
It's a very good busy week.
Absolutely. So I think for me, it's just telling people no respectfully. This is like there's other priorities that we have to do, and the ones that'll understand will understand, and the ones that don't, maybe you got your answer in sifting people out.
And
Exactly.
Yeah, and that resonates because, like you said, it goes with what Jeff was saying is you know who's going to clap for you at that point, and then two, you set that boundary that you need to pour that energy into yourself to
Right.
get what you need to get done.
Right.
But how I see it as too is when you're doing moments like that, when people are like, "Oh, I can't come to your gig this weekend because I'm busy," I'm like, I understand.
Yeah.
It's when you come across people where it's like, well, when you're always busy
Yeah.
and you're not available for me, but you expect me to always show up, how does that work
Yeah.
out? So
Makes no
100%.
sense.
Yeah.
It's one-sided.
100%.
What the heck?
I kind of want to reiterate another thing here too, right? Because
Sure.
I just thought of it, right? And my keyword for the week was listen.
Yeah.
Listen, especially when you tell people the answers they don't want to hear. How do they react?
How they react.
How do
Yep.
they react? right?
Oh,
and
that's a good
something
one.
that I always look for in a friend and a close friend and people who I want to keep in my circle are going to be the people that are going to tell me the truth.
Yes.
Not always what I want to hear.
Whether if you want to hear
Whether
it,
if I want to hear it or not, I want honesty, right?
Yeah.
Like, yo, listen, like you're slacking off, you're sleeping in late, you're playing video games all night, whatever. You're not waking up, and you're falling off track. Like, what are we doing here, right?
Yeah.
It's a question I always like to ask. It's
Yeah.
kind of rhetorical, but like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, what is going on here?
Right, and that's something I look for. You especially have to listen how people react when you tell them something that they don't necessarily want to hear.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage to have
Takes
those
a lot of courage.
conversations. You got to be vulnerable.
Like for
Tough
you and I to say
conversations.
no. Yeah,
And I
Tough
feel-
conversations build relationships.
They do, man.
they
And-
do. They really do.
And it's hard, and I mean, we're all guilty of sometimes we want to go the easy route. That's just how it goes. But I
Yes.
think
It's
when
the
you're
human
more
nature.
Yeah.
intentional with that and you understand a little bit more of what that is, that's where you have the more control in life and you're more mature.
Yep.
And that's just what it comes down to, because it's your life and how you want to create it, and you want to build those relationships and foster them with people. But then again, not everyone's going to resonate with what you're trying to say, with what you're trying to do. But at the same time, you're staying true to who you are as a person, which I think is very important. I think is very, very important here.
And to add to that, another great example would be, I think you, again, with the podcast and all the growth I've learned from you guys, I think you can apply this to any relationship. But at the time, I applied it to my partner and I, is those who share trauma go a lot further in life together. Because it's like you went through some deep shit together and you still came out alive, but even stronger.
The trauma bonding.
Yeah, like you said, who are my 5 men I'm going to take to war with? And then can we make it out alive? And if we do, we can look back at this and laugh and be like, dude, remember that time you almost got your leg shut off?
Yeah.
Like, you could look back at that and be like, we went through that, but look where we're at now.
That's the cool thing, man. Those are the memories, too, that you make with people.
Those are the memories.
That's the
we
memories.
talk about,
See?
man.
It's
I
all
love that.
interconnecting. So
It's all interconnected.
It's so fun, man. It's so fun.
But
I-
when
you're
when
good,
you're
you're good.
honest and you reflect that, and you're like, when you start acknowledging it, that's, like you said, where the relationships and the bonding starts growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of anything, and obviously we're not going to drop any names, can you think of a time where you've had to necessarily, and I'm going to use a phrase that Coach Cherry used a lot, trim the fat when it comes to tightening the circle? Can you think of anybody in specific or a certain time or experience that you've had to do it where it was kind of tough? Obviously we're not going to drop any names, but
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it's constantly happening now.
Yeah.
I feel like within my life, currently happening, and I feel like it's something that it's hard to accept. But in reality, too, it's like when you see both perspectives, like we talk about all the time, you understand why.
why did you have to necessarily trim that person?
Because we're in two different wavelengths in life. I'm going a different direction, and I guess I know what I want, and I believe that they know what they want, and it just doesn't align with what I want.
Yeah.
And that is 100% okay.
Yeah.
And I think that shows I'm confident in who I am and with where I want to go. That sure, it's gonna sting a little bit because we're human and we have feelings because we care for these people, and there's always going to be love.
Right.
But ultimately, too, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, are these people aligning with where I want to go? Because I'm to a point now where I don't mind just sitting down sometimes, kind of shooting the shit and reminiscing on some things, but I also like having some really intentional, deep conversations too. Right.
About the future, different endeavors,
For
how
sure.
to grow.
Exactly, right? Like I feel Tina and I are always talking about other ways that we can continue to, whether it's from a financial standpoint, what are places we want to go travel to? Like there's things that we're always talking about because we want to grow together.
Right.
It's not always perfect. We have things that we have going on, but we're intentional with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like my personal feeling on this is like with those people, it's you try to have those conversations and they just don't go anywhere.
They get squeamish.
That's okay.
And that's totally fine.
And yeah, that's how you learn to kind of weed some things out a little bit.
It kind of goes back to what I said earlier, bro. Listen.
Yeah.
Listen to how people respond. I'm gonna sidestep for just a quick second because I didn't want to blow over what you guys had said. It's closing day this week. I wanted to formally congratulate you on the show.
Thank you, bro.
I know you guys were working on this for a little bit. Congratulations. Super excited for you. Shout out to Tina.
Thank you.
June 22nd, we're moving you into the new crib.
New crib moving, baby.
Love
Let's
that
go.
for you guys.
Let's
Love
go.
that for you guys.
Especially in
Thank you, bro.
2024, I'm like, that's such a big achievement right now.
Huge.
It's cool, man.
It
Yeah,
shouldn't
it's cool.
be how
A lot
difficult
of
it is,
pods
but
coming from the new crib,
Oh,
whether
man.
it be in the basement,
The
on the
deck.
on the deck or whatever.
We go wherever we want, man.
Wherever we want.
We got some
driveway,
space.
whatever,
We got more space.
right?
Well, it'll be good.
It's going to be a little bit more space, but
Yeah, it's
kind
gonna
of
be
going
cool.
back to what you had said, I mean, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And I can think of very specific experience in my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm obviously not going to drop any names here,
Yeah.
but I had a certain friend, man, that was with me through thick and thin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was there from day one. It was always my boy. Like, we were inseparable. He was with me, especially every single day when I was going through, you know, some of the tougher years of my life. And it got to a point where, okay, we had been through a lot of things together. Like you had said, the trauma, we had connected. We had literally slept at the park together and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to a certain point in my life where I was ready for the next chapter, and I was growing, and he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we can never change or force people to grow or change
For sure.
people to want to see more for themselves. And it got to a certain point where, you know, I'm, you know, helping this guy and I'm doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm giving him suggestions, and I'm trying to help him, you know, get into a school and go play ball or do this, that, and the third. And I've presented him with so many opportunities. He didn't want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got to a certain point where it's like, I'm going this way
Mm-hmm.
and you're going that way.
That's
and,
okay.
And unfortunately,
Yeah.
And you were so
I had
that's
to kind of distance myself a little bit. You
see,
know
and
what I
that,
mean?
I love how you said distance, because it's like you said, you poured in all that energy back to the first point of this episode, and then like you said, how much energy can I put in until I don't put in enough for me?
Whoa,
and like
whoa.
The wind picked up here. But like you said, it's that energy is definitely helping, and then the distance. That's when I'm kind of like in the same boat with Colton, where I'm experiencing a few relationships now to learn to step away from and tighten. And oh man, I just lost
It's not
my train
easy.
of thought, but it's not easy, and
It's tough.
And the distance. Yeah, like the distance of it is I'm distancing myself so that way I don't get frustrated or hurt in the way. But that way I know, okay, this is the balance of energy I got to pour into this person and myself. But that way I'm reading their body language, I'm listening to what their actions are, and I'm also listening to what my wants are.
Yep.
You can find that middle ground.
You have to listen to your wants and your needs. And it's not the fact of like burning a bridge or severing a tie. Like,
Exactly.
listen, I'll always be here, brother, if you're ready to grow and you're ready to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Have to.
And you're taking steps back.
And I really
you're staying
liked-
in that same spot.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I really liked what Colton said earlier, where it's like, look, you're going on this path, I'm going on that path. I think what would really help many people in life, for anyone, is when there's people not on the same path as you, you can be understanding and not give them crap for it. Because that's what we're experiencing is, hey, if the guy's not clapping back for you, they're giving you crap for this, how do you want to move forward with that? And so, again, let's say, like, hey, we just don't want you on the podcast anymore for whatever reason. I'd be like, look, but I understand it. You guys are doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, but I'll still support you on the sideline, right?
Yeah.
And so I think if people can do that more, because that's what I'm trying to do is there's many people in my life that they do things I wouldn't support, but I'm like, if it makes you happy, then I will be happy for you. That's what I'm trying to change, that perspective, and that can also help too.
Yeah.
I think another point too that just kind of popped into my mind with that is like there's people who are always clapping and cheering for you. And the moment you make it, they're trying to bring you down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you find out who people really are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That happens all the time.
All the time.
You see all these people who are these very high level successful people. People cheer them up. They want to see them do well, like, but you said not better than them.
Yes.
And that's where, like, at some form of, whether it's whatever it is, it's jealousy or
it's human nature.
It's human nature. You know what I mean? It's just, but again, that's where you really find out who's really there for you. Who was really there for you since day one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to be surrounded by people who are uplifting, encouraging, pushing me to be better, and always going to support me with my wins.
Yeah.
Not going to be jealous of that. We're always pushing. And that's been a big shift for me the last 3 years, because that was hard. Because I would always be jealous of other people. Oh, why am I not where Adam's at, or why am I not where Jake's? Like, it's just, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And you got to realize that it's not my time yet.
It's not your time.
It's not my time yet, and that's okay.
I'm in the same boat, dude.
It's not your
Tough,
time.
man.
And here's also another thing, too. And I always reference things that I see online, especially on Instagram, right? And it was this guy, he had taken 2 years traveling the world, asking people what their dream car was. And there was a first video of a dude that was in like a nice BMW, and his dream car was like a C63 AMG. And then it went to a guy that was in a C63 and asking him his dream car. And then it went to a McLaren, and then it went to like a Ferrari, and then a Lamborghini, and then an even rarer Ferrari, and then whatever it is, right? And the key point of the video was to take a deep breath, be grateful for your blessings, and realize that you're living someone else's dream right now. We're waking up happy. We're waking up healthy. We have good people around us. We're sitting in the sun recording a podcast. There are so many things to be happy for. We have to focus on the now.
Yeah.
So
Right?
important.
And I think a key to tightening the circle is finding people that aren't necessarily yes men that agree with everything, right? But share similar values and morals and mindsets. And we'll sit here in the sun with you and realize how blessed we really are, as opposed to just always wanting more.
Yeah.
Because we have to realize, and this goes back to another one of the key lessons that we always talk about being more present, right? Is if you're always striving for the next sale or the next goal or the next car or the next house or the next deal, you're never going to be happy.
Because you're not even enjoying what's
Because you're not
currently
even
in front
enjoying
of you.
it. You're always just focused on next.
Right.
It's never enough, right? You're chasing your first million, then it turns to 5, and then 10, then 100. No amount of money is going to be enough. Let's just enjoy now.
Yeah.
And that reminds me I remember, Colton, you've been going through times of trying to slow things down.
Yeah.
Same with me, because it's exactly like you just said, Jeff. There were times where I was like, I hit 10K, for example. I'm like, well, when's 100K coming? I'm
Let's
like,
go.
look, enjoy the 10K now.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy the stability and just enjoy those around you. Because what I'm learning in life, too, is as we're aging, I'm seeing some of my friends have health issues as early as 30 already.
It's crazy.
So it's like,
Sad.
you got to cherish that time with them now.
Yeah.
Like I said, be present now. And he'll eventually give you what you want. It's like you said, it's just not our time, but our time will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just exactly like what you were talking about. I heard through the grapevine that somebody, who's near and dear to somebody that I know is like 26 years old, just got diagnosed with cancer. I mean, dude,
Lord.
life
Wow.
is short.
Yeah.
I told
crazy.
you the two things that are extremely valuable that we have, time and health.
Yeah.
Don't waste either of those.
Don't do it. It's
You
not
know
worth
what I
it.
mean?
No, it's not worth it, man.
I think we really have covered a lot.
We did.
We really have covered a lot. This is an amazing topic that I think we could talk about forever.
Oh, absolutely.
I kind of want to dangle it.
Yeah, I would love
leave
that.
it.
The carrot?
Just dangle the carrot.
I love
it's
it.
something that we
Let the
always use
listener
in our
think.
sales process, right?
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more.
Yeah. Ooh.
And this is an amazing topic. It
Yeah.
needs to be talked about. It's something that in our lives and in everybody's lives, it is something that will always be in your
Yes.
mind. It's not something where it's like you're going to hit 40 and then it's like, okay, my circle's tightened up enough and I'm good.
Yeah.
You're always going to be having to read people's energy and really focus on who you're giving your energy, your time, your effort, your money, all that stuff into. And you just have to be mindful.
Every day.
And just
Every day.
And just
It's a
be
journey.
aware that like as we're getting older, that circle by default or
It's
by
gonna get
health
smaller.
can get smaller. So really reflect on who do you want to grow up with, and
Yeah.
just take it from there.
Yeah.
100%.
Just for the listener, because this can apply to anyone in the world.
Anyone
Amen.
in the world.
Amen.
Any age, any doesn't matter who, this can apply to anybody
Yeah.
on
Right.
this planet.
Really can.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those listeners across the globe,
Yeah.
Those listeners across the globe, if you're out in the Czech Republic or you're out in Slovenia,
You're in Spain.
you're in Spain,
driving me in Spain.
make sure you
Sam.
remember this episode
remember
when you're
this
out there
episode,
traveling.
right? Episode 7 of the One Step Journey. But
Yeah.
listen, guys, as you know, thank you so much. New episodes every single Tuesday. Thank you so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing. As always, we always love your
guys.
continuous support, showing up week in and week out on Tuesdays, listening to the episodes, giving us good feedback. We will continue to be consistent because we love this. Brother, thank you so much for
No,
coming
thank
back
you
on
very
the
Thank
much
you,
show.
brother.
for having me.
We
Yes.
love it.
This was
Ryan.
As always,
real pleasure.
we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Outdoor pod, man.
Outdoor
Super
pod,
fucking
dude.
windy.
Let's go.